Bears Nation, something absolutely wild is happening right now at Hollis Hall. The timing couldn't be more perfect. We're sitting at 7-3, leading the NFC North, and the football gods might just be smiling down on us in ways we never imagined possible. Welcome back to Bears News Fan Report, your number one source for breaking news, exclusive updates, and the most comprehensive analysis on our beloved Chicago Bears. I'm bringing you information today that's going to change how you view our next few weeks. And I promise you, this is going to be one of those moments where you'll want to stick around until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal has massive implications for our playoff push and our chances of making real noise in this division. Let me set the stage for you. After Week 11, the Chicago Bears are leading the NFC North. Read that again. We're at the top of one of the most competitive divisions in football, sitting at 7-3 after that heart-stopping last-second victory over the Minnesota Vikings that had all of us on the edge of our seats. That win wasn't just about the 2 points in the standings. It was about proving that this team has the clutch gene, that we can execute when the pressure is highest, and that we're not the same old Bears that fold in crucial moments. This team has something special brewing, and I've been covering this organization long enough to know when there's genuine momentum building versus when it's just smoke and mirrors. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, and I've seen the criticism floating around social media and sports talk radio. Yes, our 7 wins have come against opponents with a combined record of 19 wins, 50 losses, and 1 tie. Yes, we haven't beaten a team with a winning record yet. Yes, there are legitimate questions about whether this record is sustainable or if we've just been fortunate with our schedule. I hear all that, and those are fair points to raise. But here's what I'll say. You can only play the teams on your schedule, and winning in the NFL is never easy regardless of your opponent's record. The Raiders, the Saints, the Giants, these are still professional football teams with elite athletes, and we took care of business when we needed to. That matters. But here's where things get really interesting. And this is where I need your full attention, because the landscape of our season might be shifting in ways that could define our entire playoff trajectory. We're about to host the Pittsburgh Steelers at Soldier Field in Week 12. The Steelers are sitting at 6-4. They're a physical, hard-nosed team with a strong defense and a winning tradition. On paper, this is exactly the kind of test we need to prove we belong in the upper tier of NFC contenders. This is the statement game we've been waiting for. The opportunity to silence the doubters and show that the Bears can beat quality opponents when it matters most. Here's the twist that nobody saw coming. During Pittsburgh's victory over the Cincinnati Bengals this past Sunday, their quarterback suffered a left wrist injury that forced him to exit the game. Now, initial reports from the medical staff and league insiders are indicating that this isn't just a minor bump or bruise that he can play through with some pain management. We're talking about a fracture, a legitimate structural injury that puts his availability for our game at 50-50 according to sources close to the situation. That means there's a very real possibility that when the Steelers come to Soldier Field, they'll be doing it with their backup quarterback under center. Now, before I go any further, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm not celebrating injuries. That's not who we are as an organization or as a fan base. Injuries are part of the game. They're unfortunate, and we never want to see any player go down regardless of what uniform they're wearing. But as analysts and as fans, we have to acknowledge the reality of how injuries impact competitive dynamics. If Pittsburgh's starting quarterback can't go, that fundamentally changes the complexion of this matchup and significantly improves our chances of getting that elusive 8th win. Let's talk about what this means strategically. The Steelers' backup is Mason Rudolph, a veteran who's been in the league for several years, but hasn't shown the same level of consistency or playmaking ability as their starter. Rudolph is a capable professional, but there's a significant drop-off in terms of arm strength, decision-making under pressure, and ability to extend plays with his legs. Our defense, which has been improving week by week under the guidance of our defensive coordinator, would have a much easier time game planning for Rudolph than for Pittsburgh's typical starter. We can be more aggressive with our blitz packages. We can play tighter coverage knowing he's less likely to make those back-breaking throws. And we can focus on stopping their run game and forcing them into obvious passing situations. This potential development is particularly significant when you consider the broader context of our season. We've already caught some breaks with our schedule, facing teams at opportune times when they were dealing with their own issues. We beat teams that were struggling, we capitalized on favorable matchups, and we put ourselves in position to make a real run at the playoffs. But the criticism has been that we haven't proven ourselves against elite competition. Well, beating the Steelers, even with their backup quarterback, would be a step in the right direction. It would give us an 8-3 record heading into Thanksgiving week. It would solidify our position atop the NFC North, and it would provide crucial momentum as we head into the most challenging stretch of our schedule. And make no mistake, that challenging stretch is coming. After the Steelers game, we're traveling to Philadelphia to face the Eagles on Black Friday. That's a massive test against one of the NFC's premier teams. Then we've got the Green Bay Packers twice in a 3-week span. We're heading to San Francisco to face the 49ers, and we're hosting the Detroit Lions at Soldier Field before the regular season concludes. That's a gauntlet of games that will absolutely determine whether we're legitimate contenders or pretenders. We're going to find out exactly what this Bears team is made of over the next 6 weeks, and there won't be any more questions about strength of schedule or whether our record is inflated. But here's why getting to 8-3 before that brutal stretch is so crucial. Confidence matters in this league. Momentum matters. Having that extra win in the bank gives us breathing room, gives us the ability to potentially drop a game or two down the stretch and still be in excellent position for playoff seeding. If we can beat Pittsburgh this week, even with their backup quarterback, we'll be sitting pretty as we navigate through December. We'll have home field advantage locked up for at least one playoff game. We'll have proven we can win different types of games. And we'll have the psychological edge knowing we took care of business when opportunities presented themselves. There's another storyline here that Bears fans will appreciate. Pittsburgh's starting quarterback has historically owned us. The numbers don't lie. He's been absolutely dominant against Chicago throughout his career. And he would love nothing more than to come into Soldier Field and spoil our season. He's the kind of competitor who thrives on these moments, who elevates his game against division rivals and quality opponents, and who has the experience and poise to execute in hostile environments. Not having to face him is a significant advantage that we absolutely need to capitalize on. Mason Rudolph doesn't have that same history, doesn't have that same swagger, and doesn't command the same level of respect from opposing defenses. Our defensive game plan becomes so much cleaner if Rudolph is starting. We can focus on taking away their run game with Najee Harris. We can bracket their top receiver George Pickens and force Rudolph to beat us with secondary options. And we can bring pressure from multiple angles, knowing that he's more likely to make mistakes under duress. Our secondary has been playing with more confidence lately. Our pass rush has been generating consistent pressure, and our linebackers are flying to the ball. All those strengths become magnified when you're facing a backup quarterback who's operating in a limited offensive system. Offensively, this also plays to our advantage. If the Steelers are starting their backup, they're likely going to try to keep the game low-scoring and rely on their defense to create turnovers and short fields. That means we need to be patient. We need to execute our game plan. And we need to avoid the self-inflicted mistakes that have plagued us at times this season. Our quarterback has been developing nicely, our running game has been effective, and our offensive line has been giving us time to operate. If we can control the clock, sustain drives, and put points on the board consistently, we'll put enormous pressure on Pittsburgh's backup to keep pace, and that's not a position they want to be in. The beauty of our situation right now is that we control our own destiny. We're not scoreboard watching. We're not hoping for help from other teams. We're simply focused on winning our games and stacking victories. Getting to 8-3 would be a massive statement, would validate everything we've been building, and would set us up perfectly for the final push toward the playoffs. Yes, the schedule gets tougher. Yes, we'll face legitimate championship contenders, but that's exactly what we want. We want to test ourselves against the best. We want to prove we belong in that conversation. And we want to show the entire league that the Chicago Bears are back. So here's my analysis heading into the Steelers matchup. This is a golden opportunity that we absolutely cannot let slip away. If Pittsburgh's starting quarterback is sidelined with that wrist fracture, we need to take full advantage. We need to play our brand of football, execute our game plan, and leave no doubt that we're the better team. This is the type of game that defines season, that separates playoff teams from championship contenders. And that creates the foundation for sustained success. Now I want to hear from you, Bears faithful. How do you feel about our chances against Pittsburgh if they're without their starting quarterback? Do you think we're ready to handle the pressure of being division leaders? Are you confident in our ability to navigate the tough schedule ahead? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this community is what makes covering this team so incredible, and your perspective adds so much value to these discussions. If you want to stay on top of every Bears development, every injury update, every strategic analysis, and breaking news, make sure you're subscribed to Bears News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Smash that like button to support the channel. And share this with every Bears fan you know. We're all in this together, and we're all chasing that same dream of bringing a championship back to Chicago.